Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside. With all this new technology, sometimes it takes us a minute. Our doors are open and we will continue live streaming and posting these services on our YouTube channel for virtual attendees. I'm Bonnie McFarland, a member of our worship committee, and I will be one of your worship associates today. Other members of the worship committee you will hear from include Grace Price, our master of the Zoom, Adam Wedeking, Dinah Rowe, our church treasurer, and our music producer and coordinator is Alec Peck. We welcome you to join us this lovely morning with an open mind and an open heart. And with unmuted electronic devices, please. There are a few changes to be aware of for those in the sanctuary. Our doors are open, but of course the pandemic is not over. So while we are here, please keep your masks on and socially distance. There is no singing or chanting inside these walls. We can speak in normal tones, but the extra force of exhalation when singing or chanting, even with your mask on, creates an increased risk with this airborne virus we are living with. So we invite those of you in the sanctuary to sit back and do something we rarely do with these beautiful hymns. Listen. For those of you at home, sing your hearts out. And so now I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. For our call to worship, you are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. This morning, we are so pleased to have Joan back with us again. Joan DeArtemis currently resides in Massachusetts, where she is a candidate for ministry, an intern, and a summer minister at UU Wellesley Hills. She has once again agreed to be a regular speaker, and we now have Zoom to thank for that. Joan holds a BA in Religion and Society from Syracuse University, a Master of Divinity from Claremont School of Theology, and she completed 4 units of clinical pastoral education at the Yuma Regional Medical Center in Arizona. When not practicing her craft of ministry, Joan spends time with Kathy, her spouse and partner of 27 years, and Finley, their adorable cardigan Welsh Corgi puppy. Joan, Kathy, and Finley live in Worcester, Massachusetts, the city that was the birthplace of both the birth control pill and the smiley face. I learned something while preparing for this service. I thought Joan had changed her mind about the name of her service, but it turns out some churches have a title for the service and a separate title for the sermon. Who knew? You will find one title in some places and another title in other places, but they're both good. So Joan described her service this way. Every year on April 22nd, Earth Day marks the anniversary of the birth of the modern environmental movement in 1970. Over 1 billion people participate each year in over 190 countries. But what if we made Earth Day a part of our everyday lives? What if we were to turn it into a kind of spiritual practice? This Sunday, we will explore what it might look like and how we could all benefit from it. We have 2 lightings of sacred flames. The first is Occupied Indigenous Peoples Remembrance Candle. The second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. I will read our remembrance, and Bill Casey will light the Indigenous Peoples candle. Then Joan DeArtemis has a reading for the lighting of our chalice, and Bill will light that chalice. Let us acknowledge that we walk upon the traditional territories of diverse and sovereign peoples, the original people of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. In honor of the Cahuilla, the Kitch, the Tongva, the Luisano, the Cupena, and the Serrano, we, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to live out our dream of a world community of peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together.
Today's reading of the chalice lighting is Like the First Hint of Green by Jennifer McLaughlin. As the first hint of green begins to peek through the barren ground, as that little sprig grows into a healthy stem, as that stem grows into a stalk and forms a bud, as that bud slowly opens with each new day to form a yellow daffodil. Let us be like that first hint of green, ready to face the day. We light this chalice to bring a glimmer of that warmth into our space. Our opening hymn, this morning is For the Beauty of the Earth. For those in the sanctuary, please sit back and enjoy the hymn. And please do not sing along.
Brother, parent,
We have a tradition here at UUCR. We like to welcome those who are visitors or perhaps returning after some time away. But we know it can be uncomfortable to stand up and speak in front of others, and we won't ask you to do something we wouldn't do ourselves. So I'm going to choose some unsuspecting soul who has been here a while to tell us your name and how you first found out about our church. So I'm going to choose Tom. Wait, got it. Wait for the mic. Freshly sterilized. There you go. Got to speak into the mic. Closer. Put it up closer to your face, closer to your mouth. Unmute. Okay. So we don't have any visitors here today. We are going to go right on then to, oh, do we have any visitors online? Let's look at gallery. Are there any visitors online who would like to introduce yourself? You're going to have to, well, there are people who don't have your pictures up. If you put your name, for the future, what we're going to do is, if you are online and you want to speak, we'll have to do this in order, and I'll give you these instructions again a little later. In the chat, if you enter the message "speak," it will pop up with your name, and it'll be in order if there's several people putting that in, and I'll be able to call on you in order. So, okay, moving along. We have announcements, Grace?
Morning. I'm Grace, and there are a few announcements we'd like to share. During this service, we will mention several website and email addresses and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all this information, and it is available on our website. However, for those needing the information by auditory means, they will be announced verbally during the service. Sorry about that. Chat time provides an opportunity to spend an hour talking among ourselves, usually beginning with the service and leading on to various topics. It's held on Zoom at 11:30 or a half hour after the service ends if we run late. To participate in person, the location will be determined depending on number of participants and safety per pandemic regulations. To participate online, you need a separate Zoom link. So please go to our website at uuchurchofriverside.org for the Zoom chat time link. Please be patient. Again, we are working this out. Sharing joys and concerns is one of the most important rituals in our community that were more difficult during this past year online. Now that our doors are open again, on the first Sunday of each month, we can both hear from those in the sanctuary and read the contributions we have received. Also, in front of the pulpit, there is a book where you can write your joys and concerns whenever you are here in the sanctuary. Our next joys and concerns will be on May 2nd. For those of you at home, you can send your joys and concerns throughout the month to our Caring Network Coordinator. Call or text them to Dinah at 909-645-2885 or email to ramblinrose22@yahoo.com. The monthly UUCR newsletter comes out the first of every month by email and per request by postal mail. Would you like something covered, or do you have something you'd like to write? Let Dinah know at ramblingrose22@yahoo.com or call or text her at 909-645-2885. If you haven't received the newsletter and would like to be added to our mailing list, please contact Dinah, you know where, or the church office. And now Adam Wedeking will talk to us about social and environmental justice.
Morning. I've got two announcements. One is that today is our Social and Environmental Justice Committee meeting at 1 o'clock. We have a meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock in the hall in person or online at the link on the webpage. You go to uuchurchriverside.org, click Justice, and click Social and Environmental Justice. We're going to talk about some of the legislative bills we've been working on and talk about power mapping our legislators, because we're going to start meeting with them and talking about some stuff. We're also going to talk about, there's a class on Wednesday on how the state legislature works, a training that's being put on by Eddie Carmona, who is the former political and legislative director of Pico, California. He is going to come and it'll be a Zoom training, and everybody will have a chance to kind of learn all the stuff he's learned over the years working in the Capitol, working with legislators. So come check it out. You can check that out. Again, you go to uuchurchriverside.org, click on Justice, Social Environmental Justice Committee, and down under Take Action, you'll see that how the state legislature works, and a little link there. That's it for Social Environmental Justice. See you at 1.
COVID-19. To date, in the state of California, we have had 3,611,349 total cases, 59,587 total deaths, and 24,672,255 total vaccines administered. So vaccines are ahead almost, what, 7-1? Of course, most are getting 2 vaccines, still ahead, but no time to rest on our laurels. Seems everybody I talked to, an intensive care nurse the other day said her son refuses the vaccine, said he wants to wait and see, heard that it can be dangerous. She just shook her head. She knows how dangerous that is, because the real danger is the longer the virus is out there, circulating around the unprotected, the more likely there will be more mutations, and eventually some will be very difficult to protect against. That's the real danger ahead. So take those doubters by the scruff of the neck. No, I don't know. but we have to keep trying. Vaccinations are now available for all Californians aged 16 and up. You can make an appointment at vaccine.ca.gov or at covid19.ca.gov. There is more information and more options for vaccine locations. Our hymn now is Spirit of Life. If you're in the sanctuary, I invite you to sit back, close your eyes, and listen.
This, am I hearing an echo? No. This portion of our service is about funding all that we do to care for our congregation and our beloved historic church. In addition to contributing today, there are several other ways you may contribute. You can mail your donation and pledge to the church office. You can also donate to the church using the QR code on the church website and the newsletter, which you can scan with your phone and donate that way. The church address will be shown. A reminder that the annual pledge drive is underway. Please turn in your pledge form if you haven't already as soon as possible, as this is how we plan the budget for the fiscal year, which begins in July. There's going to be a drawing for a really nice gift basket on the first Sunday in May for all those who turn in their pledge form. I will have Stater Brothers shopping cards with me each Sunday here in the church. Stater's gives our church a 5% rebate at no extra cost to you. You may also contact Robert in the church office to purchase Stater's cards. Please donate by whatever method works best for you. Thank you for your generosity. And to those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. Will our usher come forward, please? Our next hymn will be From You I Receive. Please rise again in spirit and join us.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Our meditation today is a springtime prayer by Major Reverend George A. Tiger. O power of springtime, spirit of green grasses and warm breezes, goddess of creativity, of birth, of life renewed, you sing all about us at this time. The birds call your sacred name. Buds burst forth at your vestment. The sun reaches higher into the sky, shining the light of this new day through the windows of your cathedral, this world. O power of springtime, forgive us our speediness and our racing before your eternal grace, that we do not see the miracle world we share. Open our eyes with your warmth and our hearts with your beauty. Slow our minds with awe and wonder. Dear spirit of green grasses and warm breezes, let us find here in these moments of quiet the grace of your breath as we breathe into our bodies the spirit of spring. Now let us pause for a moment of silence. As you probably already know, but it's okay if you didn't, this coming Thursday is Earth Day. And this coming Thursday also marks the 51st anniversary of Earth Day, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. It was started by a senator from Wisconsin named Gaylord Nelson. He wanted to harness some of the passion of the anti-war movement during the Vietnam War and turn it towards saving the environment. I remember this. Yes, I was around back then. I was a freshman in high school. And what I remember most was that before that, there was a never-ending series of oil spillages and contaminating industrial and energy plants and unprocessed manure spills and poisonous landfills and insecticides and poorly planned highways and a failure to protect the wilderness and an absolutely obscene destruction of nature. Earth Day led to the creation of the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the National Environmental Education Act, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, and the Clean Air Act. 2 years later, Congress passed the Clean Water Act, and a year after that, Congress passed the Endangered Species Act. And soon after, the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act. The world is a healthier, cleaner, better place because of this. I also got this cool pair of green and white leather shoes with an ecology symbol on the side of each shoe. And I was a styling ninth grader, let me tell you. For Earth Day this year, there are several things you can do to participate, most of which are virtual because of, COVID-19. But you can go to earthday.org and they have a whole list of possibilities. The city of Riverside is doing an entire month of activities, and you can find those at the riversideca.gov website. There's this kind of rotating feature across the top of their homepage, and you wait for it to come up and click on it, and you'll be able to find it there. If you don't happen to live in Riverside, or if you just want to go to another city, go to another city, your own or some other one, or county or state website. And there really are a lot of options. But, it does not have to end the day after or even the month after Earth Day. Earth Day does not have to be just a once a year event. Even though the world is safer, healthier, and cleaner than it was when I was a kid, we still have a long way to go. In the late 1970s, I was going to community college part-time and studying life science. And I had this teacher, I don't remember his name, but he made this really compelling argument in class. He said that for every person who was alive, it required some number, I don't remember what, but some number of square feet of land for that person to survive and to thrive. Now, I don't remember how much land that was, but it was some theoretical model that it only included land to grow food. Land for mining or oil or even living on was not included in this equation. And then he multiplied the number of people alive by that number to show how much land was needed to feed the world population, which was, at that time, just over 4 million people. Or I'm sorry, 4 billion people. I'm not that old. Then he compared that to what he said was the total amount of farmable land in the world. Next, he showed what would happen if the population continued to grow at the rate that it currently was. And finally, he showed that we only had about 20 years left before we would have a global famine. And with it, worldwide pandemics and war, because those all go along with famine. Well, 1998 came and went, and somehow that global famine scenario didn't quite happen, even though our population is now approaching 8 billion. well above what the teacher said was going to kill us all. However, even though his model did not really work in the exact, it was not a complete failure. Human population does continue to grow, and with it, so does our effect on the global ecology. And maybe we aren't having a famine now, but as the earth continues to heat up, vast swaths of land will become both unfarmable and unlivable. Not to mention that the rising sea level will make unusable some large patches of land, of additional land. And I think that the fact that his prediction of 20 years did not pan out exactly how he said it would is more about the hard work done by both people and agencies to help prevent it than anything else. The ecological impacts of climate change are large and extensive, involving waters, frost, weather conditions, etc. Worldwide sea level is rising because of glacial thaw, liquefaction of the ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica. The thermal expansion is occurring and causing climate change, which has led to years of dwindling and diminishing of the Arctic sea ice, rendering it susceptible to atmospheric abnormalities. The bigger the extent of global warming, the larger the probability of passing through tipping points, levels at which it is further now than you can any longer prevent the effects, even if temperatures are lowered. The lasting impacts of climate change involve additional ice thaw, ocean heating, sea level increase, and ocean acidification. Current warming has led to several land-dwelling and aquatic species to move towards the poles or to higher elevations. The oceans have warmed more gradually than the soil, but plant life and animal life in the ocean have traveled towards the cooler extremes quicker than the species on land. The impacts of climate change on people, mainly owing to warming and changes in rainfall, have been identified worldwide. Well-being effects involve both the immediate impacts of severe weather conditions, leading to the harm and loss of life, as well as incidental consequences, such as undernutrition brought on by crop yield breakdowns. Climate change is influencing and affecting nutritional well-being and has triggered a decrease in worldwide yields of maize, wheat, and soybeans. Financial losses owing to climate change have been underrated and may be quite a bit more serious than are being stated, with the likelihood of catastrophic consequences being more and more probable. Sea level land masses and seaside areas are endangered via the hazards caused by sea level rise, such as flooding and lasting submergence. So this is reality. And it's not something we're going to be able to just ignore and hope it goes away. But at the same time, there is only so much one person can do. No one person has the power to fix this. However, we can all do our part to help. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to suggest a little thing that I like to call Earth Day magic. Yes, magic. Now, by magic, I do not mean the use of means such as charms or spells believed to have supernatural power over natural forces. Nor do I mean the art of producing illusions by sleight of hand. No, I am talking instead of what English occultist Aleister Crowley defined as magic. the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. Yes, I just referenced the man that was once called the most evil man in the world, okay? But this is largely because he challenged Victorian norms. I know that several members of this congregation have at least some exposure to paganism or pagan ritual, but do you know how they work? I mean, what is it about them that makes them able to actually manifest change? Because they do. Any magic, including ritual or worship, like we're doing today, starts out as an idea. One starts out with an idea of what changes one would like to make in their lives or the world or whatever. So for Earth Day, maybe form an idea in your head for what changes you would like to see in the world for protecting our Mother, the Earth. What is the idea that you wish to manifest? As we have learned from the Velveteen Rabbit, everything that is real is imagined first. After the idea is formed, action must be taken. There are many things, actions you can take to make manifest your idea. You can change your diet, perhaps stop or at least reduce the amount of meat or dairy you consume. You can look for foods or companies that are more environmentally friendly, maybe ones that don't use hormones or pesticides or factory farming. You can reduce the amount of gasoline you consume, drive less, walk, bicycle more, carpool, take public transportation when you can, of course. With COVID, that may or may not always be the best option. If you can afford it, consider a hybrid or even an electric car. Every gallon of gas saved helps. You can fix that leaky faucet in your home and turn off the tap when you're brushing your teeth. Again, every drop of water saved helps too. You can reduce the amount of paper you use. Do you really need to print that document out? Or can you save it to a thumb drive? Do you really have to use a paper towel? Or could you use a washable, reusable cloth instead? You can, whenever possible, try to use refillable containers instead of disposable plastic. And when you can't, please, please, please recycle. You can look for ways to reduce food waste by reheating or using the leftovers in new dishes. And there's always composting. Now, these are just some ideas off the top of my head that just came to me. But here's a tip. When you do one of these things, be mindful of what you are doing. Remember, you are taking an action to heal the earth. Talk about it. Say it out loud. I am choosing not to drive as much because it is good for the environment. And this helps encourage others to make similar choices. Just remember not to shame other people who may be not able to make all of the same choices that you're making. Next, a person or a group of people must really put their hearts into it. This is also one of the reasons we do worship, to help people care. This is essential. People who work on projects with their church tend to care more about these projects. This is because we tend to encourage each other, lift each other up. People who do things as a group, we like to do that. We also like to sing about it or even just listen to music about it. These are ways that we can keep ourselves motivated and help each other keep from getting discouraged. We can write songs about it. We can make paintings about it. We can make art. We write poetry. All of these things are to keep our heart involved and engaged. And finally, there is a material component. Now, I will be honest, I am not a good capitalist. I'm terrible at it. I am not a good member of the consumerist culture. I tend not to buy anything unless I absolutely must. And every year that I'm alive, I get more this way. But when I do buy things, I try to make choices that are the best for the environment that I can afford. And because capitalism tends to make more of what it can sell and less of what it can't, then making earth-friendly products, making earth-friendly choices is another way we can vote with our wallets. Like, I have a friend who takes old clothes and turns them into quilts, masks, and rugs. Someday, if I ever do have the opportunity to invest in an electric car, solar panels, or a wind farm, I am totally going to do it. And it just so happens that these components correspond to the 4 classical elements of ancient Greece, the pagan 4 elements that you hear about: air, fire, water, and earth. In this model, air represents rational thought, our idea, and our communication. Fire represents action or change, the actions we take. Water represents emotion, the passion that drives it, and building each other up. And earth represents the material component that I have just referred to. Now, the important thing to realize about this strategy is that, number one, it's not linear. It's not something that you do and then it's done. It's cyclical. So maybe this year you have some idea about how to care for the earth and you take some action, you encourage others, and you invest the resources. Then after some time, you think about it some more and you do some more research and you come up with some other idea or plan. And you take some action there, get some more people involved, and then you invest some more resources. It keeps cycling around. The other thing about this plan is really about the journey. We may not be able to solve this problem in our lifetimes, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't work on it. Everything we can do helps, even if it's in some small way. And by doing the work, living the life, and sharing our passion with others, we lead by example. Humans are social animals. The more people that are doing a thing, the more people will also want to do a thing. It's what humans do. Finally, even though this is a very practical thing that I am proposing for you here, you can do this and it will work, whether you believe in any kind of deity or not, any religious tradition or not, whether you already have a spiritual practice or not. But it definitely can be treated as a spiritual practice all on its own. Remember that free and responsible search for truth and meaning that we like to talk about? Well, this is a part of it. For one thing, there's a search for the truth. There is a lot of controversy about this. There are a lot of climate deniers out there. A lot of people who say things like, well, climate change isn't real, or the climate changes naturally, and there is nothing we can or should actually do about it. If you are one of these folks who are still on the fence about this, I encourage you to do more research. We, as you use, encourage research. We like it. We are all about that free and responsible search for truth. But also meaning. What would it mean for us if we drove less and recycled more? What would it mean for us if we ate healthier and more ethically? Really, I don't see any bad here. So plant that seed, water that tree, save those bees, Celebrate all that is spring. Imagine, visualize a healed earth. Make it so. Love the earth and nurture her bounty. And have a very, very happy and healthy Earth Day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and love the earth because she will love you back. Our closing hymn is Blue Boat Home. Those in the sanctuary, I know you love this one, so I suggest you sit back, close your eyes, and listen. A Power at Work in the Universe by Reverend Tom Shade. My friends, there is a power at work in the universe. It works through human hands, but it is not made by human hands. It is a creative, sustaining, and transforming power, and we can trust that power with our lives and with our ministries. It will sustain us whenever we take a stand on the side of love and whenever we take a stand for peace and justice, whenever we take a risk. Trust in that power. We are together held by that power. My friends, there is a power at work in the universe. It works through human hands, but it is not made by human hands. We are together held by that power. Namaste, amen, and blessed be.
Thank you, Joan, for sharing your valuable time and insights with us this morning. It is sincerely appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you again next month. We're going to have about 10 to 15 minutes Q&A with Joan following the service. Be aware this will be included on the video that is posted. It is a transition for us trying to figure out how to combine live with Zoom, obviously. So please be patient and we'll figure it out. For those who are online, as I said earlier, if you have questions or comments, please enter them under chat. Just put in there speak, and I will watch for that and be able to call on you in order. And we'll have the ending slide. Which, okay, we did that. All right, good. Okay, and we are on to discussion time. Anybody here as well as online?
Can you give me a brief moment to move my computer?
And for those of you here, we have in the chat time from Lee, we have thank you, Tinka, for your beautiful signing of ASL, ASL exclamation point. Is
Joe, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Bonnie, we won't be using that microphone, or you'll be coming out here as well. We're going to have to use this and see if she hears us. It sounds like she hears us. You hear us? Thank you.
I hear you.
Thank you very much for your service. Great. Anybody have any questions for Joan? Tinka. Yeah. Tinka, one moment. Tinka had a question first. Go ahead, Tinka.
Oh, actually, I guess it was more of a comment when you talked about your teacher, and that perhaps his predictions, mathematically, it didn't quite all work out. What popped in my head was back then, that was in what he was using for his predictions in terms of the available land for farming, was that was before all of the deforestation in Africa and in South America,
Yeah.
which enlarged the amount of land that they were now using to produce food.
But it also reduces the amount of land available to make oxygen. Yeah,
So he might, his calculations might have been.
yeah. This is 30 years ago, you know?
You know, it's amazing that as a retired teacher, what I loved was that 30 some years later, that here's a student in a high school class that, while you may not remember the exact the concept, you retained, and it made such an impression on you that 30 some years later, that was a profound thing. So I love that as a teacher.
Oh, good.
That example.
That has stayed with me all this time. I always think, well, okay, it's not exactly what he said, but you know what? It's still a real thing. It's just a lot more complicated, but maybe that's as complicated as he could make it for, a first-year community college student, right?
All right. Now, is anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment, Joan. It's interesting that the first Earth Day really coalesced and took place after the view of Earth from the Apollo space missions looking back at Earth.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. I had forgotten that. Yeah, I think that made an impression on a lot of people.
Yes.
Is there anybody here that's old enough to remember when the skies around LA were just brown?
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that vividly. I remember there were days we couldn't go outside and have recess when I was a kid because the air was too bad. I also remember, hiding under the desk and doing the civil defense drills.
Yes, that's right.
I remember a few years back when every time the shipments would go out in Orange County had to breathe their own air. There'd be nothing like, hey, you really got to stop working there with air conditioning stuff. But before that, they were blissfully, they could talk about it at all. But the ships would blow and the Orange County would have to breathe their own air. And now all of a sudden, now they came air conditioning.
Yeah, I couldn't pick a lot of those words out. I'm sorry. Tinka's got her hand up again too.
I just wanted to say, I remember coming out of Los Angeles, the news and weather on the news and weather every night, that they would give you the like particles per million or whatever of pollution. And so you got the weather, you got the temperature, and you also got, how much all of these pollutants were that were in the air. And then they would have like it would be a, like they do with fire danger, if it's yellow or red or orange or whatever, they had that as well.
Oh, let's see here. Oh, let's see if I can.
John?
Yeah, he's got a hit on mute.
Okay, John is wanting to say something. John?
Yeah. The echo comes when you, yeah, John is there. He can talk.
Okay, you
Do
ready
you have a
for it?
question, John?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the echo to subside. I wanted to mention the church somehow influenced my daughter to on a cruise and major in environmental studies because she really wanted to do something for the earth. When she graduated, she found when she went job searching that all the companies wanted her to do was to find loopholes around the regulations.
Yeah.
She was really kind of discouraged with that because she's like, there's so many things we could do. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was you talked about getting a hybrid car. We own a hybrid car. We bought it in October. And so far since October, I've only had to put 21 gallons of gas in it. And we're averaging 999 miles per gallon. So I know we're using electricity to charge it, but I'm hoping it's better than the gas we're burning. So not only that, but since it's a hybrid, it gives us a carpool sticker, which means we don't have to sit in traffic, which saves more gas. So it's kind of a win-win for us anyway. So we're doing our share.
Yes.
Yeah, my strategy to use less gas is I just never go out during the pandemic. I leave the house like once a week for my dog training class, and that's it. I have a comment to make. Y'all have done an excellent job in innovating this hybrid service.
Yes.
Really, I mean, I know that there were some difficulties, but you'll work them out. And you're the first church that I know of that has tried this.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So, be proud. Because I want to see more churches do this. I want this to be real so that people can join in from wherever they are. And I can preach anywhere.
Thank you. It hasn't been easy.
If regrets of
Yeah.
Bonnie's.
Whoa.
Yeah, I gotta remember to do that, Tika. I saw you there signing him. I thought, that's great. I gotta remember to keep you spotless. That's it.
And it was really nice to see the lyrics to those songs. So thank you.
Yes.
Also, that was quite a trip, seeing myself in the small thumbnail and on the larger screen at the same time. And the larger screen was going slower than the thumbnail, and trying to keep my place in my sermon.
You'll have to speak loudly and clear. You would have to keep that muted. But you've got to speak loudly. No, you have to keep that muted and speak loudly and clearly for this to pick you up
Can
here.
you hear me? No, okay. I've been debating the dog in your video there, your little Finley that's next to you in the picture. Let's see this now. At first I thought it was fire. It looks like flowers.
I think it's leaves, but in real life it's fire. He has got a bark like you wouldn't believe how much sound comes out of that little dog. He's asleep right now. I'm afraid to wake him up. Because I attended the church where I serve. I attended their service this morning, and I had to keep it on mute because he barked all through it. That's why I put that up there, so y'all know I have a dog.
Yeah. And I noticed they introduce him every time I introduce you.
I saw on YouTube where they had a woman in her house for her corgi puppy. She built little stairs so that it could tear back and forth, up and down. A lot of energy. Oh, my energy.
He's invented a little habit trail through the apartment that he runs full speed in this little maze that he's found for himself. And he'll do laps. It's very funny.
Sounds like he's paying for agility courses, whether you're with him or not.
I'm sorry?
It sounds like he's
agility.
paying for agility
Yeah,
courses.
I'm taking him to training classes. I'm hoping to do something like that someday. I can't do it with him though, because I can't run. So I might have to do it from my mobility scooter. We'll see.
Sounds like he's ready.
Stephen Milan, the dog whisperer, always trying to encourage people. I have what they call running things in the house for train a dog on.
How big is your place?
We have a studio apartment. Yeah, the pulpit area where Bonnie is, it's bigger than my apartment.
Wow.
That's why we need ministry, right? Because
It's all we need, you know. I live frugally. It's all we need, and that's.
And of course, the corgi will help you with any drop food items that happen to occur.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No popcorn is ever found on our floor.
we have about 5 minutes till chat time starts. So I think we all need a break.
All right.
All right, thank you very much.
See you in lunch.
Thank you so much.
It's good to see you again. Another time we'll talk about what Worcester is like to live in.
That's right. Beautiful downtown Worcester.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.